You know, if you are suffering from a lot of issues in your feet, could be signs of neuropathy, and you might need to get that checked before it gets too late. I mean, it could be because you have diabetes or something else. Well, Dr. Lawrence Bourgeois with Nexgenesis on Three Rivers Road here in Gulfport behind the Super Walmart takes care of that. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I mean, some of the different signs of neuropathy: tingling, numbness, feet swelling, poor circulation.
Absolutely. And then, you know, also the shooting pains, those that can be debilitating at times. Now, it's not only just the feet now, it's also the hands, could be legs, arms, really all over. A lot of different people will get it, not just diabetics. Diabetics we see a lot, but we also people who had chemo from cancers, systemic causes, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, a lot of different causes, over 100 different causes.
And this is something that you work to try to reverse the issues with that.
Absolutely, absolutely. All these symptoms, the burning, numbness, tingling, shooting pains, balance issues, everything that you know they typically deal with, that's what we work to reverse and restore, you know, as opposed to the natural medication route.
What kind of exam do you put the people through whenever they do come in?
Sure, yeah, so there's a neurological exam. So I'll test different sensations because we have to see what nerve fibers are affected specifically in their case. Everybody's completely different. It's, you know, kind of like their own code is what I say. Some people might feel this sensation completely normal and this other one they don't feel at all, and then vice versa for somebody else. So we have to really get down to the nitty-gritty, see where they're at, and see if we can help them.
And of course, you check, I guess, as you said, which I thought you could only get it in your feet, but it just blew my mind. You could get it in different areas of the body.
Absolutely.
And like that. You have a special going on right now. I want to talk about that now, and then we'll tell you about it again here at the end of the segment. Talk about that, if you would, please.
Yes, we're real excited about it. For the first 25 people that call in on this show, they get a complimentary phone consultation with myself or another one of our doctors. So that's the point of that, is to really see if they're potentially a good candidate before they come in, so they don't have to drive over here, you know, not knowing, right? You at least know if you might be a candidate.
So if someone dealing with these issues keeps putting it off, what's the downside of that? Well, I mean, what could happen?
Well, typically in a lot of cases it gets worse with time. That's what most people see, and people watching right now, you'll say, well, yeah, 3 years ago, how bad was it? How bad is it right now? It gets a lot worse typically in a lot of cases. Everybody's different on the progression, but as it gets worse, the chances of its reversal go down. So, you know, once you get to a certain point, there's not much we can do, and that's the point of the exam. We have to see if you're to that point or not. And if you're not, then we can go ahead and work on you and try to help you out.
Right.
And if you are, unfortunately, you know, we can do what we can and try to point you in the right direction.
Make your life a little bit easier for you.
Sure.
Because, and I'm sure that, as you said, maybe the last couple of years, you think, oh well, it's not that bad, but all of a sudden it could change overnight. And it could be really bad. Yeah,
and I'm glad you said that, because a majority of people, that's how it starts. They'll say, you know, I never really did anything about it because it didn't really bother me. Maybe I had a shooting pain or a little burning once every few months. No big deal. You know, it happens for a few minutes, it's better. And then you move on with your life and you forget about it. Well, then, okay, now it's not once every few months. Now it's once every month. Now it's once every week. Now it's every night. Now it's going into the next morning, you see, and it slowly gets worse until you finally go in to do something about it, and that's when it's progressed.
Now, you mentioned something that I never realized about neuropathy: balance issues.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about that a little bit, if you would.
Yeah, a lot of people with neuropathy get balance issues. Some people, it could be one of the first symptoms they develop, so they might not have the burning, numbness, tingling, or really any pain. And other ones that, you know, it develops later on. That is actually my #1 thing when it comes to neuropathy, because if you don't have your balance, you don't have anything. I mean, you can't get around, you can't do really anything. One of the leading causes of death in the world is actually falls. So, you know, everybody kind of knows somebody who fell. You hear about people all the time that fell and, you know, hurt themselves or whatever. And it gets worse and worse.
They'll go down and then they can't get back up. Or
absolutely, and hit your head, you know. So there's a lot of, that's my #1 thing when a patient comes in, is we have to check balance. We have to see where they're at with that. Of course, we got to address their pain, because that's very important. That's but the balance is really.
So
really
how
big
is
deal.
your approach different from the traditional
Yeah.
route?
So the standard route is going to be medications, maybe some surgeries. The medications, I mean, they don't even try to, they don't claim to fix anything, right?
Right.
They're cover-ups while the condition gets worse. In a lot of cases, they don't even cover up. You know, I get a lot of patients in here where they'll say, well, they put me on the nerve medication, and you know, the symptoms I was dealing with, the side effects from the medication is worse than what I'm dealing with on a daily basis. So I had to stop it. And then you're kind of left with no option. And then say you're somebody who, okay, maybe it does relieve my symptoms temporarily, which it's not good for you. So it's not, the medication's not good for you. So if it does relieve it temporarily, then it eventually gets worse and the symptoms come back, and then they have to up your dose. And it's a constant cycle until you get to the highest dose and you say, hey doc, it's hurting again, can you give me a higher dose? And they say, well, we're at the highest, well, there's nothing else we can do. And then you're left with a worse condition and nothing to do about it.
Which could be, worst case scenario, amputation.
Absolutely. That's something that happens as it progresses in a lot of cases. When the feet start to turn red, purple, blue, that's something to be very concerned about.
Oh, and that's the scary thing, because I've seen people that do it. Their feet are just purple or blue or something like that.
We get a lot of patients in here. They've had a few amputations, and they're naturally
Wow.
they're scared, and they want to stop this now before it continues to progress.
What's the process if someone wants to come in?
Yep. So if you're somebody who calls in the first 25, you do the special to where you get a phone consultation. You talk with me. Then we do a neurological exam. Once you get in, if you are a candidate to come in. If you're a candidate for treatment, then we go ahead and we go over a care plan and get you started. And then that's how we work that.
And I guess each individual patient is going to be treated in a different
Absolutely.
way, because their outcome is going to be different. Their symptoms are going to be different, and their level of whatever is going to be a different thing for them to have to deal with.
Absolutely. I mean, their reason for the neuropathy is different in a lot of cases, so they have to be addressed differently. And then the severity is differently, and then what nerve fibers are affected is different in everybody. So all that has to be considered to appropriately treat neuropathy.
Right.
Somebody might not have much pain, but they have balance issues. Somebody else might have a lot of pain and no balance issues. So you have to address it individually for sure.
And again, this is not something that you want to just kind of push to the side if you're starting to feel some
Not at all.
problems.
It's some of the most debilitating pain that we see. I mean, nerve pain is if you're dealing with it, you know it's no
like
fun.
It's like your foot's asleep forever.
Yeah.
And that's
It
a
can
bad
be
feeling.
horrible.
Dr. Lawrence Bourgeois with Nexgenesis, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Be one of the first 25 to get that special from them. You can call the number on your screen. They are located on the Three Rivers Road in Gulfport, right behind the Super Walmart.